My name is clear.
Legal perspectives. Austin, legally speaking, what does the Honorable Minority Leader Afenyo-Markin have to establish to successfully prove defamation against GoldBod CEO Sammy Gyamfi?
So let me say one warning to your viewers and listeners, those who are viewing from social media, and to say that this is a rather serious allegation, and one that imputes criminality. But the minority leader has chosen to go the civil way, which is to sue for defamation. And to sue for defamation, you must be able to prove the constituent elements. And the elements are that you must be able to prove that the statements so made were defamatory. So the statements made were defamatory. So you must prove that they were defamatory. In other words, they are statements that are untrue, but they've brought your reputation down, or they've debased you. The statements have debased your reputation in the eyes of society or right-thinking individuals in the society. And you must be able to prove that those defamatory words were said by the defendants. So first of all, you must be able to prove that the words were defamatory. And those defamatory words, secondly, were said by the defendant. And again, you must be able to prove that there was publication to a third party. Publication to a third party. In other words, if I said something against you, which you consider to be defamatory, and there was no one in the room, it does not amount to defamation. But when there's a third party in the room, and I still went ahead to make those defamatory words, then there's been what? Publication. And publication could be that you sat on a TV station or a radio program and you said those defamatory words. And the person does not need to prove that there was a third party in the studio. So long as it was in the studio, you said it in the studio during a program, it means that people have heard it. Mm-hmm. That amounts to publication.
Right.
And even in public commentary, sometimes you go on social media, people comment on those defamatory words. It amounts to publication.
Right.
And the thing is that now with technology, defamation can happen at every point in time. So it can happen in Ghana. The same issue can be defamatory in Ghana. It can also be defamatory in Nigeria. If that issue is also picked up by somebody else and published over there,
right,
it could also be it could also amount to publication over there, and also that those defamatory words injured your reputation. So these constituent elements, you must be able to prove them. One, the words were defamatory. Two, the defamatory words were said by none other party than the defendant.
Okay.
And that there was publication. Mm-hmm. So you must be able to prove these constituent elements. If you're able to prove them, you'll be successful. The position of the court is that you cannot prove two and leave the other element. You must prove all the constituent elements. If you leave one out, you won't be successful.
Right. Now, we listened, the first soundbite you heard was from GoldBod CEO Sammy Gyamfi, effectively indicating or alleging that Afenyo-Markin was seeking to extort him. At what point does a statement like that become a defamatory allegation of fact rather than protected political opinion or commentary?
I think before I answer that question, we must situate the conversation.
Right.
Did the GoldBod CEO, Sammy Gyamfi, say that Afenyo-Markin extorted from him?
Okay.
He never said that. Mm. He called him an extortionist.
Mm. There's a distinction.
We must be able to delineate the boundary. Extorting from me and one be an extortionist could be that the one who is an extortionist may have either extorted from me or extorted from somebody.
Or both.
Or both. So we must be careful. Sammy Gyamfi never said, for once, throughout his press conferences and his media appearances, that Alexander Afenyo-Markin extorted from him.
Okay.
So let's be able to situate the conversation so that those who are going to the marketplace with this conversation will know how to communicate and know how to say the things. But let me point out that the fact that you are being accused of having double in defamation, and you claim that you were not the victim or you were not the person who paid the money to the said individual, or let's say as Afenyo-Markin, or to whom the demand was made on you, does not absolve you of any liability.
Okay.
In other words, if you were never extorted, or no one extorted money from you, but you only communicated an incident which happened to somebody, does not in itself absolve you from any liability. To say that, oh, I was not the one, so I only said the mind of somebody. That alone does not absolve you from, but you have said something, so you must still substantiate, bring evidence. So the thing is that defamation happens in two ways: slander and libel. So you slander the worst, and so the one we communicate verbally and the one we communicate by writing. So people write articles, publish them, and they defame people. So these are the two instances, so slander and libel. But the thing is that when an individual feels that his or her reputation had been soiled by reason of a statement you made, the person has a legitimate claim to bring a case of defamation against you, provided there is no substance to the claim you made. But we must also understand that if you believe that the statement you so made is right, or you are justified in making the statement, you have a defense in court. So you need not prove that every statement you made is true, but you must prove that you are justified in making a particular comment. That alone is a defense in law. Justification. The defense of justification is a defense in law.
I see.
That you are justified in making that comment. Why are you justified? Then you must, and we have qualified privilege. So if you believe that by reason of a position you occupy, you have come into contact with a particular information by reason of which you can communicate to the media or the public, and you feel it was time to make that disclosure, you are justified, or you have a qualified privilege.
Now, we know that Afenyo-Markin has also sued media organizations that published or broadcast the statements. What potential liability does a media house have when it reports on allegations made by politicians or public officials?
A very important question. We must understand that every statement made on a platform amounts to publication. Remember I said, if I sit here and make a comment, which a comment someone considers to be defamatory, you have given the opportunity to publish it to third parties. In this case, it won't be just one individual. So we are not talking about those in the studio. We're talking about beyond, those who are currently listening to the conversation. So the media houses have a responsibility to ensure that when statements are made, we say statement, they cannot authenticate. They dissociate themselves from the statement. So if a comment is made and you feel that you readily don't have information to authenticate or validate that statement, you must issue a disclaimer or tell the person to retract. It means that you have taken steps to prevent publication. Because in any case, you cannot stop anybody from saying whatever they want to say. But whatever they say, you must account for them. So the media houses have a responsibility, which is why he has decided to sue the media houses, because their platforms became the means of publicizing those defamatory words, or those words he considered to be defamatory. Because at the moment, there are mere allegations that he has brought before the court, and he has to prove his case. And we must also understand that in this case, he has gone to court. It won't be the responsibility of Sammy Gyamfi and Eric J, who has also been sued in the second case,
right,
to defend themselves. or to prove the case. It will be the responsibility of Afenyo-Markin to prove that those statements are defamatory, or to prove the constituent element of defamation. It is only when he succeeds in proving those elements, that is when the court will say, okay, then the defendant also come and answer to the allegations. That is where if they have any other evidence to save themselves, they will also publish them.
So for those of us who sit on this side where I'm sitting now, as media personnel, is it sufficient for us to say things like, I disassociate myself, I distance myself, the media house distances itself from commentary made by XYZ? Will that suffice? Does that provide adequate insulation from court action?
It does not exculpate the media houses, but it does prove to the court that you took steps,
right,
to prevent the so-called defamatory comments. Because there have been times where individuals, by political sensationalism, made certain comments on platforms that ordinarily you expected media journalists to have questioned them or even dissociated maybe their media houses from those commentaries. But they kept quiet and they only laugh off those comments. In that instance, when a court is seized with such matter, the court will say, but you had an opportunity with such strong words, you had an opportunity to have dissociated your media houses from such commentary, so that a fair-minded individual, we always say a reasonable person on the street will say that, oh, this journalist took steps.
Right.
Even though it may not be sufficient, but this journalist took steps to dissociate the media house from the comment. Or this journalist asked the commentator or the individual whether or not he or she has any evidence. If not, he or she should withdraw or retract. When a court sees such evidence, the court will say, no, you took steps. So that will even help when the court is thinking about whether or not to impose any fines on the media house. The court will say, no, you took steps. So that alone, the court will say, no, let's exculpate or let's allow the media house, because they did due diligence. They didn't allow the individual to go away or to run away with his commentary. So, I mean, there's a responsibility when it comes to such matters. But it's because many of such statements have gone without lawsuits. That's why sometimes the media, the journalists feel that there's no responsibility on them.
That is true.
So they feel, oh, I have no responsibility. If after all, it is the person who alleged or the person who made those defamatory comments on my show who will be held responsible. But that's not the case. You, the one providing the platform. And you see, funny that sometimes the journalists themselves will be asking, are you sure? Do you have evidence? What do you, then they will say, oh, tell me more. So they are rather inviting the person to say more. And that is dangerous and consequential. Yeah. So there's a responsibility on journalists to ensure that comments made on your platform, particularly you being the host, comments made on your platform are legally accounted for.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. That's very important to note. A word to the wise. Now, Austin, does Afenyo-Markin's position as a prominent political figure and minority leader affect the standard or threshold that he must meet in this defamation case?
In fact, the standard is clear. You remember recently there was a defamation case between this Kennedy Japan and Anas.
Indeed.
Aremia, you remember? That case traveled straight away to the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. It's been back and forth. You remember, he won at the High Court, lost at the Court of Appeal, then went to the Supreme Court. So it's the threshold is the same.
Okay.
Whether you're a big man, you're a small man, you must meet it. If you don't meet it, then the thing is that people were saying, in that case, people were saying, after Anas did this good, so the judges should have lowered the threshold. It doesn't work that way. Like I said, the name of the game is evidence. If you don't have it, forget it. And I've been telling people, sometimes you may have a very solid case on paper, but in court, if you cannot adduce the relevant evidence to back your case, you lose. And you say, oh, the court were not fair to me, the judge was not fair. It had nothing to do with the judge. It had to do with the evidence you adduced in court, which were insufficient to grant a successful either conviction or successful case. So that is the thing. The threshold must meet. Afenyo-Markin must prove the constituent element of defamation. If he fails in any of the elements, he won't succeed. and that will be consequential. Because if the court throws out that, dismisses the cases, it doesn't mean the case had been proven or had not been proven. Yes. It means that he didn't succeed. Then the tag extortionist will still be hanging on his neck. So he has a duty, a real duty. So I've said that don't allow petty partisan drift or sensationalism to drive you to go to court. If you know what Asimasi is saying is true, find a way to handle it. But when you go to court, thinking that because it will delay, because sometimes court processes drags on 2, 3, 4 years.
That's right.
So that alone will afford me time to later terminate at a point so that Ghanaians will not notice. He won't succeed. This is a major allegation. So he must be ready to prove all the elements.
But one might say, Austin, that we see a lot of this political fracas, unfold. Do you not share in the opinion of some Ghanaians that this will be one of such that sort of falls by the wayside? We forget about it because we'll have another big headline taking our attention. Or do you think that this particular issue, if not resolved adequately, could not bode well, especially for the minority leader in parliament?
In fact, this issue may have surfaced today. Tomorrow, it will be buried by another issue. That is right. Until the court makes a decision, it will resurface. This will be shelved on the media houses' bookshelves until the court makes a determination as to whether or not he succeeds or not. The case will also revive itself. So let's not bother us. But my suggestion is simple. This is a serious allegation. One that has been seriously defended by the claimants or the defendant, the individuals who made those comments. They've defended and they've even challenged him to go to court, which he has rightly so done. I would expect the minority leader to step down.
To step down in his position as minority leader.
Exactly. You know why? We are looking at a situation where Ghanaians will be looking at the minority anytime they address an issue of national importance. Then the conversation will be, but this body are extortionists. They are being led.
You think that tag will dilute whatever serious business they have?
No, exactly. I don't want us to take this tag as something ordinary. Or we shouldn't compare it to those comments made by individuals on political platforms. This is an individual, and I've always been saying that a man's greatest treasure is his reputation.
Indeed.
So, if you are being called an extortionist, and you don't, someone will say, clean yourself properly. So, it's like walking to the bathhouse and washing yourself with water. You must dab yourself with a towel. Mm-hmm. If you don't properly clean yourself, people will always see and say, oh, this is an extortionist. This. And don't forget, politics. Politics can tarnish you today, and you won't rise again. There have been let me tell you the number of individuals, judges, who have gone down because of the revelation by Anas.
And never able to recover.
Never. They were stripped of their judicial roles. And they are now, some even are even sitting in front of their shops. Some have shops. They have this provision shop. They are sitting there, judges who were judges. So reputation is like money, it's currency. Mm-hmm. Your reputation alone can open doors for you.
That's right.
People will not even need to see or hear what you say, but they know that this person is a man of great means, is somebody who is a man of substance. Whatever he says holds weight. So there are a lot of people there. So
but would we say that, for example, at the time that the entire parliament or a group of people were accused of being bribed by a certain businessman, it couldn't have tarnished the image collectively of parliament, or because this one is an individual?
So that allegation tarnished the image of parliament.
Yeah.
Because today, as we speak, Parliament has been bastardized.
Yeah.
The executive has been bastardized. It's only the judiciary that we are trying to hold aloof a little. Any allegation of bribery targeting Parliament affects the image of Parliament.
Right.
So Ghanaians do not hold Parliament in high esteem as we used to. Just go off your street or go onto the street and ask 2 or 3 individuals what their opinion is
about
or
Parliament.
their opinions are about Parliament. You know, we don't regard Parliament anymore. But an individual, an attack or a claim targeting an individual is consequential.
Yeah.
It affects him. In fact, if you monitored his media appearance, the last appearance he had on your sister station.
Yes.
Look at his demeanor.
Yeah.
You will know that the allegation is weighing now on him.
Yeah.
You look at his facial appearances. Look at his mannerism. You know that this guy is.
Now you're talking as a social scientist. Too.
Exactly.
You're not talking as a lawyer because.
No, exactly. No,
yes,
but you see,
yeah.
and we consider that
Yes.
in court.
Yeah.
Yes, your mannerism, the way you respond, the way judges look at that and say, this person is guilty.
Potentially guilty. Yeah.
All time check. It is some 8 minutes to the top of the hour, 10 a.m. Just in about 2 minutes, we'll wrap up with Austin Brako Powers. And Austin, I've got a final question for you as we look to the future. What should the public be watching for as this case progresses, and what would constitute a significant legal victory for either Afenyo-Markin or Sammy Gyamfi?
So 2 key things. First off, I've said that if this issue backfires, that will be the end of Afenyo-Markin. Yes, politically, because now he has decided to challenge the allegation. If he doesn't succeed, Ghanaians will be settled in their minds that it is true. This is what you have been doing. If he succeeds, it means that the allegation leveled against him was not true. And that will affect Sammy Gyamfi, and he's demanding 50 million cedis.
That's right.
That is something he must be able to. I think for now, he should be considering how he will marshal his evidence to prove his case. Without more. The second thing is that Ghanaians must be careful of the commentaries they make on social media, particularly those who are supporters of the 2 leading political parties.
Right.
Sometimes we feel we can make any comment and nobody would sue us. But you will notice that recently there's been a spike in defamation cases.
Oh yeah. Kennedy Japan leading the pack.
Exactly.
It was Kennedy Japan, and despite multimedia, Kennedy Japan and Kwamna Dufo, Kennedy Japan, and was it Anas Arimia in Ghana and in the US.
That's right.
And he was lucky, even with the Dufo case, it had to be settled out of court.
And even among us civilians, I see that people are taking it very seriously.
Exactly.
Like Austin said, your reputation is everything.
Yeah.
It's not the bloggers. They feel they can smear you with any claim and they will go scot-free. Now they are being sued left, right, center. So they must be careful. Sometimes the thing is that they feel that, we can make any commentary. After all, this is political commentaries. And because you made it on political platform, we can also make
even there was one with Kweku Bako. Kennedy Japan again.
Exactly.
Yeah, he got 950,000 Ghana cedis. That's how much he had to pay.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, Kennedy has been sued 10 million.
You remember even Esedin Ketia also sued somebody where he said he will use the money to go and build, construct a structure and put a certain name on it. So it's becoming the new sheriff in town.
Right.
Because people are beginning to take their reputation seriously. So we must be careful. Let's be careful of what we write. Verify. If you don't have evidence or if you cannot authenticate the source, stop it.
Certainly. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Very good to see you. Austin Brako Powers, legal private practitioner. He's not on his way to the Bahamas, but he's always welcome here at Adisawe, Kanda.